The gas chambers at Treblinka didn't mark the end. Behind their sealed doors, death was only the beginning of a much darker machinery. What came next was a system of corpse disposal so vast, so brutal, that even the killers themselves sometimes looked away. When the chamber doors were opened, prisoners faced a horrifying sight. Victims had been packed so tightly that even in death, their bodies remained standing, arms and legs entwined, bloated from suffocation, fused into a single grotesque mass. The chambers had to be cleared quickly. Thousands more were already waiting in line. The Germans immediately forced the burial squads into action. Each corpse had to be carried on a stretcher by a pair of prisoners, one body per team. If a corpse was too light, they had to take two. Anyone seen carrying less than expected risked death. Who had committed this crime had to march back, grab the double load, and return to the hole at the run, where they were shot and thrown into the pit together with the dead. The pace was inhuman. Prisoners ran back and forth up to 12 hours a day, starving, thirsty, exhausted, and constantly beaten. Endless movement, running from one place to another, and the lashes of the whip resembled a demonic assembly line. Germans or Ukrainians supervised each group, whip in hand. They struck constantly, aimlessly, on heads, backs, bellies, arms. But when they took aim, they chose the most sensitive spot, or the one that would cause the most damage. Each body had to be inspected by a prisoner dentist, whose job was to remove gold teeth and crowns. The gold was then cleaned of tissue, melted into ingots, and sent back to the Reich. Once dentally treated, the corpse was dumped into a mass grave. Inside the pit, other prisoners arranged the bodies in layers. The graves themselves were massive, up to 50 meters long and 10 meters deep, able to hold tens of thousands of corpses. They were dug with excavators. This was the system until autumn 1942. Then Himmler ordered a shift in policy. From now on, there must be no trace. Bodies were no longer buried. They were burned. The Germans laid railway tracks on concrete blocks to form giant grills. Primitive, but effective. Bodies were stacked between layers of wood and doused in accelerant. According to witnesses, some rosters were even fed with air by engines to keep the fire burning. The man overseeing this inferno was Herbert Floss, a cremation expert brought from Sobibor. The graves were now exhumed. Corpses were pulled up by excavators. Sometimes, for sport, the guards dumped entire shovel loads onto the heads of waiting prisoners. Bodies from the last pits were often so decayed they couldn't be carried on ladder-shaped stretchers. They had to be collected in pieces, using crates. Burning became a daily ritual. Women's bodies were often used as kindling. They burned better, but even in death, the victims resisted. One day, a stiff arm protruded from a burning heap, its finger pointing skyward like an accusation. The SS froze. Some turned pale. Even they were shaken. Not all corpses burned cleanly. When corpses of pregnant women were cremated, their bellies would burst open. The fetus would be exposed and could be seen burning inside the mother's womb. In winter, SS men gathered by the pyres to warm themselves, sometimes laughing, sometimes drinking, and even singing Christmas carols. On some days, up to 12,000 corpses were cremated, but the dead didn't always burn as expected. The bodies often held together. Heads, arms, legs were charred, but whole. The ash squad had to break them apart with iron rods, like those used to crush gravel in roadwork. Sifters made of iron mesh were used to strain the ash. What didn't pass through had to be crushed again. Ash mixed with sand was poured back into the pits. And sometimes, Jewish workers managed to sneak in whole bones, leaving some trace behind. This continued into the summer of 1943. Every trace of Nazi crime, burned and buried. Only the witnesses remained, and the Nazis planned to silence them next. But the prisoners had other plans. More in the next episode.